So this is the self-development with tactics book. So this episode's gonna be about wealth once again, and money and business and all these great things. If you find them great, if you do not find them great, it's gonna be not the best episode for you. But I assume it could be interesting, not only because I talk about this exact thing or this exact article, but I'm also going to talk about different things and other things about this article. But yeah, see you after the intro. After the motherfucking intro. The intro that is fucking loud. I do hope that the audio quality is fine, just because I do not have a carpet in my room, and apparently there is just so much echo here. It is just amazing. I do just still have my blankets here all over the place, but I don't know. I do just really hear that there's a lot of echo, but you know what? Quality doesn't matter that much. As long as I'm fucking energetic here, as long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I think it's fine. And this episode might be edited as well, just because I do want to see what I can do with my creativity and what I can just get out of this episode with some editing things and with some editing, even though podcasts in general aren't that edited, and I do not even know if the audio is actually gonna be edited. Maybe I'm gonna just cut out parts that are just silent. Really, sometimes I'm thinking about things and it is just okay, I'm listening to someone that is thinking and not saying anything, and it is not the best thing. But yeah, I hope I'm also bright enough, but I think I'm just having a glass of water, or I had a glass of water on my table, and I was like, where the fuck is the fucking glass of water? And I was always just looking out for it to just not, throw it off the table or something, or just spill it. Yeah, because then everything would be fucked on my fucking table. Would not be nice, would be just pretty severe. But yeah, as I said, we are going through an article today, and this article is from the Inc.com website once again. Why from the Inc.com website? I believe that it actually is quite a good website, and I also just trust in it, which is actually also a pretty important factor for me. I do not want to go through something that I do not kind of trust in. It's like I do not want to spread things that I kind of feel like it is not true, or kind of feel like, what they're talking about there is not really the case or something. So just I think you understand what I mean. I really think so. So yeah, as you can now see for the YouTube viewers on the screen, we're going through this founder turned a unique acquisition into a 10 million business in just 3 years without venture capital. He needed capital for some big plans, but didn't want to seed control. I don't fucking know what it is pronounced. That required a different kind of investor. Apparently, I guess it is about this guy, but I don't know. So Virtual founder Ron Mitchell. Illustration by Gabriela Pesquera. The fuck is this illustration? It is not an illustration. It is just a fucking photo with some... Yeah, okay, it's an illustration in the background, but... Nah. I don't really think that he himself is an illustration. The thing is, something that Seth Godin actually recently also was talking about is there is no need, for drawing or illustrating people like real life, real life picturing or real life drawing or ultra realistic drawing as you might find it on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. We don't need this stuff actually. So it is cool if you're able to do so, and I've always liked it when I'm just drawing something it's cool. I always just went for the realistic shit. I've never ever, I have. Once I did something in Cubism, which basically is okay, you have a picture and everything is out of cubes. which means like not really triangles and not really just rectangles and whatsoever, but all sorts of angles. The thing is, I think I prefer the realistic kind, even though comic style is also pretty nice, I have to say. But yeah, the thing is, we don't actually need to have some realistic drawers and or painters. I think 100 or 200 years ago, it was something different. Well, 300 years ago. Because we had no fucking photo cameras. Yeah, we had no cameras. And therefore, yeah, we needed painters and we needed drawers because there was no fucking camera. But now we have cameras, and cameras absolutely just capture the reality way better than any drawer, and also way faster than any painter could do. Well, maybe it is actually the exact same level, just some really big and really famous painters like, I don't know, Leonardo da Vinci might be able to just, really capture a certain frame or a certain scenario as realistic as a photo apparat and or a photo camera would actually do. I don't know. But let's actually see. Let's actually not talk about photo apparats and or photo cameras. I don't even know if photo apparat is actually an English word. I don't think so. I really don't think so. The thing is, let's actually go ahead with the article, because we're not here to talk about cameras, apparently. So recruiting software company Virtual was just 3 years old when founder Ron Mitchell went looking for an acquisition that would allow the business to scale faster. But like many young firms, the Chicago-based Virtual, which matches workers with employers through testing, lacked capital. He did not lack experience, though, which has plenty of value in itself. We are not your 23-year-old CEOs, the 49-year-old says. It is great to invest in a dream, but you have to look at fundamentals. You really have to. Like, I guess especially in the whole business world and the entrepreneurial world, I guess it is pretty important to kind of make sure that somehow the CEO of a company that you're going to invest in is just somehow capable of doing something. Even though it sounds actually a little mean, to be honest, but I don't even know if there are some CEOs that are really not capable of doing things. I believe that it is rather the case in the small business world actually, and not really like in international fucking corporations. I assume like they have stepped up their game, and all of their CEOs are actually capable of doing what they should actually be capable of doing. But I guess, with small businesses, it's still something different. It's still often like, family member shit and family business shit, which means like, they do not necessarily have to be good at what they're doing. They for sure do just have experience, sometimes. I do not really want to generalize the whole shit, because in general, I hate generalizations. Yeah, it is actually the thing. I hate generalizations. It's like such a dumb thing. It is so fucking stupid. Like, it really is. But the thing is, investing into a firm or investing into a company where you completely know that the CEO is not capable of doing his job or doing her job, well, I don't know if it's the best idea. I guess it is actually not. I assume so, just because the CEO basically is leading the whole firm, or he should or she should be leading the whole firm. And if he or she is not capable of doing that, well, I don't know if this sounds good for the company. I guess actually not. But yeah, let's actually move ahead. I, by the way, hope that the screen there isn't too big, because I had to, always when I'm playing chess or having the chess self-development thing, I do just always have to kind of configure the screens a little bit differently. So I do just have to make them, I guess, a little bit bigger. But as such, it looks quite good at the time, It really looks good, No, I think I'm not gonna change up anything. Anything. So his fundamentals said no to venture capital. Too much focus on hypergrowth and not enough emphasis on cash flow. By the way, Seth Godin did a really great episode on his podcast Akimbo. It is Akimbo on cash flow. Because before I didn't really know what cash flow is. I still don't know what cash flow is because I forget a lot of things that are not really necessary for me. But he did a really great episode on that. So if you're interested in what cash flow is and getting a little bit of an example or something, then check out Akimbo. It is just a great podcast, As I've been talking about it before, it really is a great podcast, It is amazing. Yeah. So Mitchell had been down that road before as both an investor in the late 1990s and a serial entrepreneur in the career development industry since 2002. And his acquisition target, a hospitality talent recruiting company called H Careers, was being invested by a public company called DHI Group. He would have to orchestrate a complex carve-out. Knowing he would need help, Mitchell brought in a friend, Doug Tutt. I hope it is called Doug, or pronounced Doug. It is D-O-U-G and Tutt, T-U-T-T, as a partner. Tutt had been COO of Caprock Communications, which had done a deal with Houston-based PE firm Genesis Park in 2010. And as Mitchell says, there is nothing better than knowing them personally. Plus, Genesis Park had a track record with carve-outs. In May 2018, Genesis Park took a minority stake in a new company called Virtual Holdings, which owned both Virtual and the newly acquired H Careers. H Careers, not carriers, but careers. As a part of the $7.5 million deal, Mitchell and Tutt, now Virtual's COO, retained control over a company with over $10 million in sales. Which is quite good, I guess. I do not really know. I do just read, or I have been reading quite a lot of things about, companies and business and, all those things. But still, it isn't some of the things that I'm really knowledgeable in. I think it is just because I am not in the space. I do not have a business yet. I do not have my company or a company yet. Maybe there is going to be the case. I don't fucking know. I am not an investor in anything. I don't invest. I basically do nothing with my money but buying myself food. And that's on a really fucking budget. It really sounds like, I'm just spending, I don't know how much money on fucking food, but I really don't. I'm really spending not a lot of money on things in general. I really hate spending money, which I think is one of the flaws that I'm having. I really hate spending money. It is just insane. I absolutely fucking hate it. It is so insane. It really is. It fucking is insane. But yeah, this is what it is. And me with my smoking or smoker voice, that's good. No, it's not. So that is not often characteristic of private equity investors, Mitchell explains, and there was a healthy back and forth around that. In a sense, Mitchell got lucky. Peter Shaper, Genesis Park's founding partner, is comfortable with not having voting control. He bets on owners. We know that the guys running the business day to day, leading the team, feeling the culture, and being in front of the customer are going to make better decisions than I can. And I apparently think that is actually a very, 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 very good strategy and pretty good mindset, because I think it is actually the case. Unless you're actually also a business owner and you've been in the exact same space with the exact same customers and the exact same employees or whatsoever, even though it might not be that possible, for years as well. I do not think it is the case. I do not think it is possible. But theoretically, potentially, there is a chance, that it actually could be the case. Therefore, I do also believe in that. Unless the CEO is just so fucking incapable of doing anything, I would also bet on the owner, up to this point, or the person who was the owner up to this point. He says, noting that 10 to 20% of his deals involve minority stakes. Still, Shaper helped build Virtual Holdings' strategic timeline, a short-term plan, a medium-term plan, and a long-term plan. The first challenge was to turn H Careers, which had previously relied on the HI Group's centralized HR, legal, accounting, and IT services into a self-reliant company. Next up is integrating Virtual's technology into H Careers. Yeah. I'm good at reading, thanks. A process Shaper concedes is taking longer than expected. That could delay the long-term goal of market dominance, which depends on how H Careers established 2,500 fucking customers and clients. That's amazing. That really is amazing. Including major hotel brands like Marriott. We have been talking about, I don't even know what it is pronounced, but we have been talking about Marriott in the last episode. That is something like called the $3 billion, or was it 3 million? I kind of assume it was 3 billion, but I'm not quite sure. The $3 billion hotel and resort firm and or company, something like this, It's been also an article on the Inc.com website, and it was all about actually a success story, a pretty amazing success story, all about, a man working in hotels and resorts for quite a long time and then starting his own thing and actually getting pretty successful with it. An amazing story. From rags to riches, well, yeah, I assume, I don't know, but somehow from rags to riches, or somewhat rags to riches. But yeah, so like Marriott or Marriott, I assume that is actually French, I don't know why. Hyatt or Hyatt and Hilton react to a new platform. If it lands well, Genesis Park plans to invest more to help Virtual Holdings scale. If it doesn't, Shaper says he will invest in whatever course correction is necessary. He has no timeline for an exit. And that capital is obviously important, but Mitchell says he values Genesis Park's counsel as much as he does its financial resources. Recently, he has been taking advantage of the firm's marketing team to work through the complexity of combining two businesses and recrafting them. And I think it is definitely also just pretty kind of tough to connect two firms, also because of the people that are working for you, like your employees. I think it really is if you have employees from one firm that have been led by just a different company just for years or something, and then you have your company, and then now let's work together. Yeah, not gonna fucking work, I guess. I'm just guessing. I'm thinking about it as on a human kind of scale or base, or with humans in mind. I don't know. I kind of believe that it won't be that easy. It really won't be. But yeah. So we probably speak to Genesis Park every week, Mitchell says, not because we have to, but because we want to. And this is amazing, to just have some partners and have people around that you actually like, and they actually also want to talk to and want to just do business with and whatsoever. I think it's great. I really believe it's great. But what I'm seeing there as well is actually that I do not want to have it as big as it is. Just because I do not, I don't know what it was like, what it was like in the other episodes, or the other episode on the Inc.com website, if the text was also so close to the edge of the screen there, which I actually do not like, even though as I'm reading there, it is not quite bothering me. But normally it really is bothering me. It really is, from a design perspective, and this really is kind of the drawback of being a graphic designer and just somehow, having to do something with graphic design every single day. It is actually the downside of it. You see things, also typography mistakes and whatsoever, some things that you can actually see very, 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 very often is people crossing, let me show you. I don't know what it is called actually, but the G has somehow a curve or just such a swoosh or whatever you want to call it on the bottom of it. By underlining text and by underlining type, it often is the case that you strike through it. And this is not good. You should not be doing this because it really is not the best thing for the readability. Like, you don't have just some letters that are a half G and a half A somehow just because you're striking through it, and it could just be like A. Like, it really is just not good for the readability. And if you're just, for example, also having a book or something, just don't fucking do that. That's the advice. Don't fucking do that. And also, like, having everything justified, also not that good. Just because, like, can I zoom? Thanks. I do just see. What the fuck did I do now? What the fucking hell? Oh, nothing. I didn't do anything, I guess, at least. The thing is, having justified text, especially in very, very, very tight spaces, well, actually very broad spaces, very broad spaces is not really the best thing you can do, just because there's going to be a lot of rivers there, and they're actually called rivers. In German, they're actually also called rivers. Well, not really, but, let's actually look that up. Text rivers. In typography, rivers or rivers of white. Okay, rivers of white, they seem to be called in English, are gaps in typesetting which appear to run through a paragraph of text due to a coincidental alignment of spaces. Yeah, and there is quite a good example. You can definitely see the white space there. You can see a line, and there should not be a line. And if you're just using a lot of justified text, chances of having it are pretty fucking high. The best thing to have is just left or right aligned text. The thing is, right aligned text, is it actually called right aligned? I don't know the justified, or left-sided text or whatever. We normally have texts that are aligned on the left side, and we really rarely have text aligned on the right side. As, a design thing and the design kind of element, it is totally fine, to use right aligned text. The thing is, like here, normally we do not read in such a way because it is pretty difficult then to find the next line, just because you have everything aligned on the right hand side, and the text is gonna look like this. You're gonna have just a really. I'm gonna show you. Before I just talk about some shit there, I'm gonna show you. Like, you can see there, the line is not always in the exact same place, different than on this side, on the left side. It just makes it more difficult to find the lines, and it is not really as well that good for the readability. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it with the episode. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered. So basically, your legacy. I see you the next time.